Okay, guys. Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is going to be I think this is our second to last webinar, and this is going to be on adapting to remote and online learning, presented by Ms. Teresa Crow and Ms. Sonia Alvarez. So before we get started, I do have to go over kind of the rules and everything about using SWTJC, internet resources, all of that stuff. Miss Sonia, I think this may it may temporarily stop your screen share just ahead,
That's fine.
but you'll be able to
sharing?
get it back and everything.
I'll go ahead and
Should
stop
be able to
sharing.
see a list of all of the, or I guess the consent and acceptable use policy for SWTJC. Everything on this list is not allowed in any way. We will take action, and some of them we may end up having to take legal action. So be very careful that you're not breaking any of these rules. The ones in yellow are the ones I'm going to kind of explain a little more, go into a little more information on. Illegal activity, that's fairly obvious. You can't use the computers, the internet, the Wi-Fi, tablets, anything you may have from the college to perform any kind of illegal activity. If you do, we can and we most likely will take legal action against you, so make sure you don't do it. Number 4, hate mail, discriminatory remarks, and offensive or inflammatory communication. This is a big one, especially since we are currently in the middle of a very exciting election year. Make sure that you are not doing anything like that. Make sure you're not trying to offend anyone, insult anyone. Anything like that is not allowed in any way. So definitely be careful about that. Number 8, impersonation of another user, anonymity, and pseudonyms. This is a big one, and before y'all were even allowed in, I had to verify that y'all were actually enrolled. We have had some issues in the past, but this is a major rule. Make sure that you are who you say you are. Don't let someone else use your account to get into a meeting or a class, anything like that. Make sure your name is set to whatever your name is. I know a couple of you I sent a message to over the Zoom chat to, lost my train of thought, to give me your ID number. Please make sure you do that as soon as possible. We want to make sure that the correct students are credited. And then number 10, disruption of the work of other users. This may not sound like it's a big thing, especially now that everything's online, but it is still possible. So make sure that you're not doing anything overly distracting over the Zoom or Teams calls, anything like that. Let everyone do what they need to do. That is all that I have from my end. And so there is kind of just a heads up, everyone. There is kind of a shift in how we are kind of giving credit and everything. So everyone who's attending will receive an email from myself, and it'll have like special information, all of that stuff. And you'll be able to use that, just because I know some of y'all may have 3 or 4 different instructors asking y'all to be here. That way you would just be able to share that information. And if your instructors have any questions, they can always get a hold of one of us and we can help them out. But that's all I have. So Ms. Alvarez and Crow, if y'all want to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So welcome everybody to our presentation today, Adapting to Remote Learning. As we can all agree, this has not been the easiest transition. It has been difficult on some level for every single one of us. We have definitely had to make different choices and change up the way we do things. So I would like also to introduce Ms. Teresa Crow, who together we have put this together for both the student and professor perspective. And so Teresa, thank you so much for being with me and helping me out on this.
Good morning.
It's been fun. It's been fun and it's been very interesting.
Yes.
So let me go ahead and start from the beginning. Okay, so you guys can see it? That's a yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yes.
All right, so basically, in a nutshell, remote learning is an opportunity to still be able to engage with each other, only we're in different spaces. A professor might be in their home, you might be in your home, you could be in your work coffee area, lunchroom, you could basically be anywhere. So we're separated by time and distance. So we're definitely not meeting in a traditional classroom. So in a traditional classroom, obviously you would all come to the college, which I know at this point, 7, 8 months into COVID, for the most part, that's what we want. We really, really, really want to be able to engage with our students and just have each other there. But you know what, guys, due to circumstances beyond all of our control, Mother Nature, you name it, we find ourselves in this position. And so many of us have had to adapt and try to figure out how is the best way we can learn from each other. Because many of us, you know, you still want to progress in life. You still want to get that degree. You still want to make your parents happy. And so, but the world can't stop turning. So we have to figure out ways to keep turning with that world. Now, there's different types of remote learning. We've got virtually online, we have traditional online, and we have distance learning. And I do feel that sometimes students, they hear one term, but they don't quite understand that term. So when it comes to distance learning is more when, let's say, for example, we have a specific program at the college, but the professor that teaches that program is at another site. So therefore, like traditionally, many of our distance learning professors are in Uvalde. And so if you're in Eagle Pass or in Del Rio and you don't want to drive all the way to that other campus to take a class, you can actually sit in a classroom that has a couple of very large 55-inch television screens with microphones in the ceiling, and your professor will be on a screen. You will have lecture from your professor directly, and via those microphones you can actually communicate with your professor, and this is done in a synchronous environment. Now, however, due to COVID, we've had to suspend our distance learning, but in a sense, we're still learning distantly. Now, for the most part, your classes are virtually online. So a lot of times students will call and, ma'am, I want to take my classes online. And I have to always explain and distinguish between classes that are virtually online and classes that are traditionally online. And I think that's very, very important. So as a student, when you take virtual classes, you're actually signing up to meet with a professor at a specific time. So if you sign up for history with Mr. Cardenas, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 in the morning, you have to be on his platform of choice, whether it's Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and you have to be there at 10. By not being there at 10, you're considered absent. So that is virtually online. Now, a traditionally online class, that is when you do not meet with the professor at all. Everything is done through emails, through Canvas. They will let you know, these are the assignments, here's the syllabus, this is the outline, these are assignments are due on this day, and you have to make sure that everything gets turned in that day. But you're never going to meet your professor at a certain time. You would basically communicate via email or you can call them. And basically with remote learning, what we're trying to do is recreate the classroom experience. And let me tell you something, it's very, very difficult. Normally when you have your class, and let's say you've got 25 to 30 students in the class, you can be assured that at least 26 of those students are going to be engaged. And there might be 1 or 2 students that aren't. Now you take this remote learning the way we're doing it now through Zoom or through Teams, and you might get lucky if half of your class is actually paying attention and listening to you at that time. So that is a big portion of what we plan on talking to you guys about today. The experiences that we've had between the students and the professors and vice versa. And what I really love about this is Teresa also works with the tutors. So she gets a lot of information as to what the students might be experiencing. I myself am an advisor, and I also teach learning frameworks. So from the professor perspective, I 100% understand what we're going through. But as an advisor, boy, you cannot believe the emails I get and the messages that I get from students in regards to their classes. So we're so happy you're with us today. We will go on to our next slide. And Teresa, you have the floor.
Good morning. Okay, so what we did is we sent out surveys, right? We sent out surveys, we created surveys for students and we sent those out to the students, and we created surveys for instructors and sent those out to them as well to kind of get an idea of where both of them were coming from and a better understanding where both of them are coming from and try to find this medium. So for students, we asked them 6 questions. We asked, the first 3 are on a rating of between 1 and 5, 5-star rating, right? And so students chose what, if it was more difficult, if it was more challenging, they chose 5. If it was not as challenging, they chose 1. And this one was remote learning at Southwest Texas Junior College has been a challenge. So if it was a challenge, they chose 5. If it was kind of a challenge, they chose, 3 or something like that. And then the second one that we asked was, my course objectives have been explained clearly through remote learning. Some students thought that they had been explained clearly and some of them thought that they hadn't. So we'll go through those results here in a little bit too. The third question we asked, again, 5-star rating, was communication with my instructors through remote learning has been more difficult. So we'll see what those results are here next in a little bit. The next 3 questions were more long answers. I like these better because it gave me more insight on what the students were feeling and gave me more details. It just gave them a voice. So I really enjoyed these next questions. So number 4 was, what is the most important thing you feel instructors should know? Number 5 was, what resources would you find helpful while learning remotely? And number 6 was, what can instructors do to engage students and improve student interaction? Okay, and so now for the results. So we found out that students did find that, that learning remotely has been a pretty good challenge, right? Not all of them have been. Some students really enjoy it. Some students, it's more convenient for them. They're working from home or they have children at home. A lot of us are in that situation. I'm a mom myself. Children were learning from home. Children were doing school from home. It made it way easier to be able to do that from home. But then we have other students who maybe find it more difficult to learn from in front of a computer, right? Maybe some students who need that face-to-face interaction, need to see their instructor, need to ask their instructor some questions. They found it pretty difficult to be using remote learning. Number 2, it was actually number 5. My course objectives have been explained clearly through remote learning. So I'm sorry, this is number 2. So my course objectives have been explained clearly through remote learning. I'm using a 5-star rating. Most students said that it had been explained clearly. So I think that's a good job, right? That's definitely a plus on our instructors for taking the time to explain that to the students. And I know I've seen instructors give more initiative and kind of walk them through this. It's a difficult time for all of us. So I've seen the instructors take more time to kind of explain to their students and take that time to make sure that they understand their objectives clearly. So that's good. That's a really good thing, I think. And then number 3 was communication with my instructors through remote learning has been more difficult. Using a 5-star rating, we ended up with 2.72, which is, I guess it's been fair, right? What I hear a lot from students is that they're having a hard time. I guess they don't want to talk about what difficulties they're having in front of the whole class. They don't want to talk about it on the screen. So I think that we need to find different ways to do that. I think I've always told them, email your instructor. It doesn't have to be while you're live on the screen. Just email your instructor and let them know, hey, I'm having a difficult time with this. Is there any way that you can help me? Or is there something else that I can do about it? I always encourage to email, but it is hard. I think students, especially the students that are used to having that face-to-face interaction, it's hard for them to receive that through email only, to send emails and receive emails. So I think that's why we kind of ended up with a fair communication. Okay, I think we can go on to the next one. Okay, so these are the fun ones. I think they're the fun ones. What is the most important thing you feel instructors should know? So we had a lot of responses from students. We had several responses from students, but I just kind of highlighted or summarized some of the responses because a lot of them were the same. It seems like a lot of students are struggling with the same types of issues. Students asked that instructors be more patient and understanding during the pandemic. Many students have many students currently have extra responsibilities and added stress. So there's some students who maybe were working, you know, working at work and had their kids at home, and then they either got laid off, or maybe they're having to work from home like we are, right? And then they have their children doing homework, so they're trying to keep up with their job, do the best at their job, and then trying to help their children do their homework and make sure that their children are able to succeed as well, right? Because that's also very important. So I know that was one of the bigger issues. Some students needed to work, right? During this pandemic, it was hard to find jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people got laid off. So if they had their job, they didn't want to let that job go. And so they're having a hard time trying to juggle, you know, okay, let me go to my job, but then I need to stay for my class, and I need to be available at this time for my class, but I also need the money to support my family or to pay my bills, you know, whatever the case is. So I think that was one of the biggest issues that we had, or one of the biggest responses that we received anyway. Another one that we received was not everyone has internet or good internet. So I know that this has been an issue. I know it's been difficult for students to do this without good internet at home, especially if you live out in the boonies like me. Maybe the internet service isn't as great. And so it's difficult. Maybe the internet service is cutting in and out because it's not just you working off the Wi-Fi, but it's you and, you know, 5 other people in your household working off the Wi-Fi. Things like that. So that's another one of the big things that students had problems with. Some students don't have internet at all. One of the things that you can keep in mind with that the students can keep in mind with this, is that the college does offer, I think each campus offers a parking lot area where you can go in and work from there. I know that it's not as convenient as working from your home or doing your work from home, but just know that is available to y'all, okay? Another thing is that students have limited resources while working from home. We do have tutoring. We still have tutoring online. We still have Writing Center available online. We still have all of those resources available online. But I know it's not the same as students walking into an advisor's office or students walking into the Success Center and saying, hey, I need help with this. And then, you know, the tutors can sit down and show the students exactly how to do it, or have that one-on-one interaction so that the students kind of get that in a little bit better. They get that information a little bit better. So I know that's been difficult. The next main one was that, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Students want instructors to know they understand this is a difficult time for instructors as well. So there was a lot of students that said, you know, we understand instructors are having a hard time too. You know, they're just as busy as we are. It was really nice to see that students were also empathetic towards their instructors. They weren't angry at their instructors. They understand that it's difficult for both them and their instructors. But some of the suggestions were that it would help if instructors could try to welcome students and be available to their students. Students appreciate receiving feedback from their instructors. So I think a lot of them feel like they're not getting as much feedback as they would get normally in class. So maybe, I don't know if I saw one of them that said a breakout session would be good. That might be a good opportunity to do that. Maybe, I don't know if y'all can do if instructors can make breakout sessions through their Zoom meetings, but I think that would be a good thing to put in place if it's possible. Okay.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. And I also, Teresa, I really like what you said about that a lot of the students are understanding towards their professors, because I've seen that as well. A lot of the students that call in or the email or whatever, they have actually been very empathetic. And I want to say that maybe it's based on, you know, they go home, they see their families going through this. They might see their parents that are also working from home and struggling with computer programs they've never done before. Or they've had to learn things, new platforms that we all had to learn at the same time. And even though they adapt a lot quicker than us older folk, it warms my heart to know that a lot of them are so cool about it, you know, and understanding. And it's like, you know, sometimes I'll show my students memes of like teachers going through stuff like, you know, and it's just to laugh. It's for brevity, you know, so that we can all get a good laugh out of it and let's move on. If I'm not, you know, the greatest with technology, at least, you know, I'm trying and I'm there and I'm here for you. And I think that's all we need basically from each other, is just to know that we're here for each other, period.
Yes, so, we're all in this together. We're not in this alone. We all have our own struggles, you know. So it's good to know that they were understanding about that.
Yes.
Okay, so the next question was, what resources would you find helpful while learning remotely? Some students do use the tutoring center and things like that. And so they did find those resources helpful, but I was trying to highlight into what resources we can also put in place that we don't already have in place. So it says students would like to see more step-by-step video tutorials on different resources that the college offers through Canvas and other platforms. I know this is hard, and I want to get insight on the students too. After the seminar, I kind of want to get ideas on where we could put those videos, because we do have videos. We have several videos on how to use Canvas, on how to use the tutoring center, how to use different things like that. I know there's lots of videos going out right now. But if y'all could just give us some ideas on where you would like to see those at exactly. I know we have different social media sites, we have them on our website, different places like that. But if there's a place that students will see them more often, then I would definitely like to know that. That way we can get those out to them. The next thing was more knowledge of available resources, which is the same thing, right? If they have more videos, then they have more knowledge of it. So I think that maybe they realize there is some resources available, but they're not so sure about what resources are available, or maybe how to use those resources. So definitely let us know, please, at the end of this, what we can do to get those resources out to you. Some students do not have good internet or good working laptops at home. I know the laptops for that, we do have, the library offers laptops. I know Uvalde is out of them, and I think, is Eagle Pass out of them, or is it Del Rio?
Actually, we just got word yesterday, they just got some in. They did have a wait list with a lot of students, but there are a few extra. So if anybody in Eagle Pass, you know, you're struggling with that, and maybe you guys have one computer at home, but you have 3 people studying from home on that same computer, you actually can get a Chromebook for free to use for the semester. Just contact the library. Definitely.
Yes, and they changed that this year, actually, or this semester, due to COVID. Before, they've only had it to where you could only rent it out for, I think, a week or 5 days and to return it. Due to COVID this semester, they're allowing you to keep it the whole semester. You check it out for the entire semester, not just for a week. So that's really helpful too, and less chaotic for you guys.
And you know, another thing, Teresa, that might be good. I know when COVID first happened in spring, Spectrum was offering students 2 months worth of internet for free. But like what happened after that, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that you could probably, as a student, be able to find some type of funding or some organization that's willing to give you internet as a student based on COVID. There's got to be some kind of help for that, I'm sure.
I agree. I bet there is. I know we did send out letters in the beginning when that was a thing. I don't know what happened to it either. I haven't looked into it more, but that might be something that we could look into as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last one on here was, it would be great to have the ability to break out into smaller groups. So this is the comment that I was talking about. So students could discuss questions together rather than asking the instructor in front of the entire class. So I think that was a really good insight on students, maybe on how they feel. Maybe they feel more comfortable if they could be in smaller groups and, you know, during the class, and those students can get together and have that discussion together about whatever was going on in class, kind of retain that information a little bit better, and then reach out to each other for questions and whatnot. So I think that is, I really like that comment, because it's a good idea, I think. I don't know how it works for instructors, so I don't know how much time you'll have to do things like that or whatnot, but I think that it would be nice if that could be possible. Oh, I think I'm moving too fast. Okay.
Is that the right one?
Yes.
Okay.
So the next one says, what can instructors do to engage students and improve student interaction? So the main thing that I saw on all of the comments from students was communication. It all kind of came down to communication. I think that instructors and students alike are trying to go through this and get through this, you know, properly and as best they can. But I think that there's so much miscommunication. I don't think that it's, I know we don't have bad instructors, and I know we don't have bad students, but I think there's just a lot of miscommunication. I think, or there's not an opportunity for as much communication, I should say. So I think if we could offer some type of way to offer these students more communication, it would be more beneficial to them. I think they could thrive a little bit more. And I think instructors could have a better insight on them as well. Instructors should ask more questions to keep students engaged. Find ways to relate to the material so students understand more clearly. So I think that, I know this is difficult because I've done it before when I sit in a seminar or something and I talk and nobody responds, or I ask questions and nobody says anything. So I know that that can be difficult for instructors too, because it almost seems like you're talking to a black wall. And so it's hard to stay engaged yourself and then to engage the students as well. But this is a good suggestion, I think, where the students asking, you know, can you please ask more questions, or can you, maybe students won't engage on their own, but maybe if instructors encourage them and ask them more questions and give them more information to respond to, then maybe it'll help engage those students a little bit more. The next one was make class more interesting. Try to be creative with PowerPoints rather than reading straight from a book. So I saw that on a few of them. I know that that's not every instructor as well, but I'm assuming that maybe there's some instructors that maybe have a harder time. You know, we're all having a hard time with technology. So maybe we have instructors that are having a hard time presenting those PowerPoints online, things like that. Maybe there's a way that we could give, you know, instructors trainings on how to do PowerPoints, or maybe we can let them know, give trainings on how to present this stuff online or whatnot. I don't know if y'all have had any type of trainings like that, but maybe that would be a good option for instructors who do struggle with it. Students want to feel motivated and comfortable in their learning environment. So this is a big one, I think. Some students believe that cameras shouldn't be required, but participation should be. So I know it's hard as an instructor as well, right? Not to see faces when you're talking to them. I think instructors want to see that, just the way students want that interaction. Instructors want this interaction as well. You know, that's why they're instructors, because they like that student interaction, right? They like talking to their students. They like teaching their students. And so it's hard when they can't see their faces. I know that this is a big conflict. So I don't know if that's maybe a good suggestion. You know, if students, if you can't see their faces, then ask them a question and see if they understand the material, make sure that they're there. I don't know if that's, I mean, of course, I'm not on the instructor side either. So I know that that's very difficult for instructors as well. So,
can I speak to that, Teresa,
yeah.
as a faculty member? I'm one of those faculty members that wants to see the student faces. And it's not only for me, but it's for the other students as well. I do have students break out into sessions. A lot of the classes I teach require that you kind of build a relationship with some of the other students. And that really cannot happen if all I see is your name, or if all students see is your name on a screen. I think that I want the students to understand that it's about building connections, yes, and not wanting to show, I want you to show your face because I want you to show your face. No, it's because it's so important to building community and making connections.
Yes, and I totally agree with you, because I know I meet with my tutors every week. I meet with different people every week because I need to see their face. I need that interaction as well. I need that human interaction. And it is important, especially because we're all together alone, right? Or alone together, however you say that. So it is difficult to not see them. I totally agree with you on that. Maybe there's, I think the way that I think of it and the way that I've told the tutors, right, is sometimes it's hard when you turn on your camera. It's like you're inviting these people into your home, right? You're at home. And so you're inviting them into your private space, but then maybe they need to know, do y'all teach on Zoom or do y'all teach on Teams?
Either or.
I teach on Zoom.
Okay. Is there a way to put a background on Zoom for them? Because then
Yes.
that's always an option too. You know, if students aren't aware that they can put a background on behind them, so that way nobody's really in their home, you know, it's just them. I'm just trying to think of the different things that might make them feel uncomfortable, but that might be a good option. You know, maybe encourage them or show them how to set the background up on their screen, and then that way they can use their background while they're still showing their faces.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And actually, it's a good segue into the professor standpoint of this. But to go back to your second point of making class more interesting. We have actually, there is for professional development, there's opportunities to learn more about Zoom. And so that's one thing that I'm looking forward to doing, because you have your choice when it comes to that as to what you, you know, what professional development that you want to do. And so you have several choices. So for those of us that might be technologically challenged, I'm so glad that they have that up there. And that's definitely what I'm going to be doing this weekend, so that I can better relate to my students as well. And, you know, in regards to cameras and stuff, as we progress in the presentation, we'll learn about why, you know, why this happens. And so that's a great seg into what we're going to talk about now, which is the survey that we conducted with the professors. And so one of the first things that I wanted to know was, and I wanted to do this, you know, based on just the 5 stars, remote teaching at the junior college has been a challenge. I think there are some that are already technologically savvy, and they kind of adapted a lot easier than some of us did. So, and then what has been your greatest challenge as a professor teaching classes remotely? The third one is, what is the most important thing you feel that the student should know? Because we definitely want for everybody to empathize with each other and know that we're all in this together, bottom line. If you could send a message to your students, what would it be? And what aspect of remote learning would you most like us to cover? And what can students do to improve their virtual classroom experience? So I feel like all of that was very, very pertinent. And I think also we're talking to the students a lot about what they should do and what they need to do. And we also need to do the same thing with the professors as well, because we are all adapting to the same. So when it came to the 5-star rating, my average was a 3.32, which indicates just relative difficulty. So it wasn't too bad, just ish. And if I was to ask this question, I asked this question a couple of months ago. So if I was to ask this question today, I bet you we would probably be at a 2-star or a 1.5 star, because, you know, with 5 being the most difficult, because I think after a few months, we're learning to adapt. We're learning what works and what doesn't work, but still there are so many different things that we can improve and that we can do better. Now, in regards to challenges for a professor, the main thing was learning new technology. I mean, first of all, you had a choice. Did you want to do Zoom or did you want to do Teams? And people are like, oh my God, I don't know which one's better. What are you doing? What are you doing? I picked up the phone so many times to ask my coworkers, okay, which one do you like better? Which one shows videos better? Which one can you see more of your students? Which one can you interact better? And so I think just having that choice already, you know, for a person that has a hard time making a decision, that was already kind of difficult. But then once you do decide on which platform you're going to use, now you need to learn how to use it. And you know, when you're in this type of an atmosphere and you're trying to teach the class concepts of the subject that you're teaching, it's difficult when you don't know how to use it. And when the students see that and sense that, it might give the image that you are either unprepared or you have no clue what you're doing. You could have won Best Teacher of the Year for the last 10 years in a row, but because all of a sudden you don't know how to switch to a video, somebody might have a lesser opinion of you. You know what I mean? And that's definitely not the case, because this is something that's based on technology. And I would say the lack of interaction and discussion is one of the things I heard from everybody, bottom line. I feel like students are afraid to speak up. Students are afraid to get their point across. Now, I know in the past, I've spoken to some students, you know, and as an advisor, they come to my office and they'll be like, ma'am, I just want to drop this class, or I don't think I can handle this class, or I'm in PTK, but for some reason I have a D with this professor. And it all has to do, I think, with what Dr. Escamilla was saying, and these are the connections that we need to make. We need to be able to connect with others and let them know, hey, I'm here for you. So if you're a professor and you ask a question and a student gives you an answer, it's so important that you know how much bravery and courage it took just for that student to even speak up. So when a professor cuts them at their knees and, haha, you're wrong, oh my gosh, that right away will make a student go into themselves. They're never going to want to cooperate again. They're never going to want you to know their opinion again, because they feel you're going to shoot them down, and you're going to shoot them down in front of everybody else. And that is one of the most humiliating experiences that I hear from students, that they're, you know, if they have a professor that's sort of mean in a sense, it makes them want to, because they feel like they're get it wrong no matter what. And so I think that we do need to be more mindful of, wow, you know, this person is actually getting the conversation started. And even though it might not be the right answer, I can gently thank them for their input, but remind what the real actual answer is. So I think basically it's all semantics, how we communicate with each other and how we let each other down easily, you know, and not in a way that hurts you or puts you down. Because guys, if we don't hear anything back from you as students, we don't know whether you're actually learning from us. We don't know if you're listening to us. And another way, I believe this was the sixth question, was, you know, what can students do to improve virtual interaction? And I've experienced this myself. And I would say probably maybe the first 2 to 3 weeks that the semester started, I would have students, like I have a student that works at Chili's. So when they were in class, I see the big chili in the background and I'm like, where are you? And I'm at work, ma'am. And I'm like, what are you doing at work? Class is at 5. Like, no, you need to tell your boss that you can't be in class at 5. Okay, so they need to work around your schedule. So that's an important thing. A lot of students, and again, this goes back to what I said initially, the difference between virtually online and traditionally online. So I don't want you guys to think that if you're in a virtual course that you can go ahead and schedule work while you're in class, because you can't be in 2 places at once. It doesn't work like that. And you can't be listening if you're trying to wait tables and see if your client needs more water or a dessert or something like that. It's very, very, very hard to pay attention. So definitely, once you register for classes, guys, we always will mail you your schedule, and if not, you can print out your own schedule through your web advisor. But you need to provide that schedule to your bosses and let them know, I have class from 5 to 5:50, from 6 to 7:20, so I can't work during time. You can put me in the morning, you can put me in the afternoon, but evenings, no good. So you guys need to also be able to say that at work. And I think that also comes down to making choices. Yes, we have car payments, we have cell phone payments, we have to pay our insurance, but in order to have that better life and that quality life that you want, in that beautiful house and that beautiful car and that beautiful future, it takes time, and it takes actually participating. So that's very important. Okay, make sure that y'all do that. Don't attend classes while driving. I have students that will connect and they're putting their seatbelt on and they're driving home from work and they're driving here and there. And I'm like, don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Look at the road. And it scares me. It scares me as a professor, because I'm just like, you know, Lord, please don't let something happen to them while they're driving, because they're trying to pay attention to me and they're not paying attention to the road. So if I see a student in a vehicle right away, I'll tell them, you stop right there. Don't drive anymore. So if your class starts at a certain time, guys, then you need to already be there and be ready. Like if you have to be at work at 8, you're not going to be barely getting in your car at 8 to get there. No, you're going to get in your car at 7:45 to make sure that you're on time. It's the same thing for your classes. And then one other way would be to set up personal class space at home. Now, I know that that's not always easy. Some of us, you know, we might have 6 family members in a 2-bedroom house. And so where do you have your privacy? You literally have to go to the bathroom just to be alone in some houses. And so I would say sometimes, definitely not today because it's cold, but sometimes you can make your patio your best friend. You could go to a room and just ask everybody, you know what, can y'all stay in the living room and just give me 1 hour to do my class, and then I'll, you know, y'all can have it, you can take it over. Sometimes we have to wheel and deal and make deals with people in your home. And it's very also very important, and I see this a lot, even though you're at home and you're in English or history or government and your family's walking around, they don't actually understand that you're in class right now. So they'll be talking to you, they'll be sharing stories with you. You'll have to mute your mic, mute your camera, and that's not the time or the place. So we also need to let our family know, I'm in class right now, so I'm just gonna shut the door for a little bit and I'll open it back up in a minute. Some people go to their cars. They'll go to their car and they'll do their work from there. As Teresa was saying earlier, some students that don't have internet, we actually have internet and Wi-Fi with really good bandwidth, so that if you go into the parking lot of the college, you can do your classes from your car, and at least you're safe. Nobody's breathing on you. You know, you don't have any chances of exposing yourself to COVID, but at the same time, you have internet and you have privacy. So sometimes, guys, we just have to take it where we can get it, most definitely. Now, this one was universal all the way across the board. Every single professor that was surveyed actually said more or less the same thing. Facial feedback is extremely important in order to guide a topic, their lessons, their discussions, and so they can make sure that you understand. When we can't see your face, it deprives us of important information that is going to allow us to try to somehow hook you and engage you to make you understand the concepts and what it is that we're trying to explain. So if we can't see your face, then we don't know how to gauge whether you understand. A lot of times when you are in a classroom teaching, you're not only you're picking up visual cues, you're picking up nonverbal cues, you're picking up body movements, you're picking up facial expressions, and all of these things tell you, okay, this person gets it. I know by next week they're going to do fine on the test. Or you can see the look on their face. The look on their face will be complete fear or lack of understanding. And then that's when you know, okay, well, maybe let me just explain this again. Let me explain it in other words, so that I can make sure that everybody does understand. So not seeing your face is difficult. One professor even said that even in breakout rooms, students are still using the chat feature instead of turning on their cameras. And the whole purpose of these breakout rooms was so the student would be able to experience the group dynamic. So let's say you're in a class of 25 people and you break up into 5 groups, you know, and you've got these 5 people that you might have an assignment or something like that. It's not just the assignment that we're actually looking for. That's not the only thing we want to see you complete. We also want to see how your ability to get along with others is, your ability to work with others. So there's so many other factors we're looking for, because guys, believe it or not, your ability to work with others and your ability to be able to come together with complete strangers and get something done, that's called work. That's what you do in the real working world. You actually go there and they pay you for your intellect. They pay you for your expertise. And so it's important that you actually do the work. So when a professor makes these breakout rooms and then we go to the room to see how the students are interacting, they're still not talking to each other face to face. They're still not interacting. A lot of them are just using the chat feature. And I would say that a lot of that has to do with, it's generational, to be honest with you. Today's generation, definitely the way that they communicate more is through text. If you call, how many of you students, honestly, if you get a phone call, you don't answer your phone, you wait till they leave a message, or you'll go ahead and send them a text because you don't like that type of communication. You don't want that face-to-face interaction. And so this is how a lot of the students are interacting. And I would say sometimes in some experiences, it's fine. That's okay, you know, when your students are chatting with each other. But guys, once in a while, this is required. This is something that you absolutely must do. And I want you to know that when you do go get your first job, or when you do go to work, and let's say you're working at McDonald's or Burger King or Whataburger, or even at Ross, somewhere in the mall, you're behind a counter. Guess what? When a person walks up to the counter, you cannot text them and say, okay, what do you need? What can I help you with? No, you have to look them in the face. You have to be able to see what it is that they need, because as an employee of this company, I'm here to make your experience better or pleasurable or give you what it is that you need. And it's important that you learn how to be able to look somebody in the eye. Honestly, truly, the sooner you do that now, the so much better your life is going to be later. And I know that initially it's scary. You're looking at people who, you know, right away you feel inferior. They might have degrees or letters, initials at the end of their name that you don't have, that you know it's going to be years before you get. But so what, guys? We are all people. We are all the same. None of us are better than anybody else, no matter how much money you have in your bank, no matter how many titles you have at the end of your name. Bottom line, we are all in this together, and we need to be there for each other. And so it's very, very important that you guys start practicing. Practice now. You know what? I'm going to turn on my camera. Even if I just do it for 5 minutes, you know, if you can't see yourself doing it for the full hour and a half, do it for a little bit. Do it for half the class. Work your way into being able to show your face, because I can promise you, some of the professors are lost without seeing faces. When I'm teaching my classes, I might have out of 29 students, 4 show their face, and the rest it's just a black screen with the name, and then the microphone has a, you know, that your mic is not loaded. And it's sometimes I feel like I'm on the radio or something. I feel like I want you guys to see me. I mean, I know you can see me, but I want to be able to see you as well, you know? And so it kind of makes teaching a little bit like it's not as fun as it could be if I know you were here with me in the room. If I knew you were paying attention to me, it would be fine. But if I know that you're really at work, it hurts me inside, because you're not learning from the lecture. You're not learning the concepts. You're not going to be able to learn to be able to express what you know. And so just remember, guys, whether you're at home, whether you're in the classroom, this is you know, you have to create the setting. You have to create a classroom environment, because that's what we're in. We're in a classroom, bottom line. So try to turn your cameras on if as best as you possibly can. All right. Now, so if you could send a message to students, what would it be? Well, I got a lot of them. And I'll be honest with you, I was really, that part I really enjoyed the most, because I could see the hearts and the compassion really come out of these professors, guys. And I'll be honest with you, the only thing I can say is love. It's love. There's so much love there from these professors. And so many of them expressed to me how, you know, yes, this is difficult, but they care so much about you. That's why they do what they do. That's why they're as passionate as they are. And so we want you to know that it takes time and dedication to learn and be successful. There's no easy button that automatically says you're done, you graduated, you know everything there is to know. There's not. The only thing that says you know everything there is to know is that piece of paper, that degree. And in order to get that degree, you have to pass those exams. So in order to pass those exams, you have to attend class and you have to actually do the work. That's the only way it's going to happen. So learning does not simply occur whether you're in person, whether you're virtually online, traditionally online. Time is critical. If you are lost, it is very, very important to ask for help immediately, especially if you are in a math or science course, so to speak, because, you know, as a person who math is definitely not my strong suit, I knew that I was going to need help with that. And so for math, you know, they'll introduce one concept, and then the next time you're in class, they introduce the following concept. Well, if you don't get it that day, that Monday, there's no way you're going to get it on Wednesday. And so that actually gives you Tuesday to go get the help that you need. So get help. It's there. It's available for you. There's so many different ways that you can get it. And there's so many different places you can go on our college website to get it as well. And that's one of the reasons that Teresa and I are here with you today, to also show you where you guys can get the help that you need. But don't procrastinate. Studies show that 70% of all college students suffer from procrastination. So what happens when you procrastinate? You waited till the last minute. So then the day before the assignment is due, you already have high blood pressure, your heart rate increases, your anxiety increases. Other things that you needed to do aren't going to get done that day because you have to do something you were to do yesterday, which again, your anxiety is going to increase even more. And when that happens, the answers that you need, they don't come to you in that moment. So avoid procrastination and definitely seek help. Another thing that they had expressed to us is regardless of the pandemic, you can either be your strongest asset or you can be your worst enemy when we're remote learning. Take the initiative to definitely interact more than in class. And also what they wanted you guys to know that how to balance your work and your family life while also trying to maintain a healthy mental health status. You guys need to incorporate your social, your emotional, your professional, and your spiritual. So we have to be able to attend to all those sides of ourselves in order to get done what we need to get done. So some of the suggestions that Teresa and I came with, the number one, communication. This is both for professor and student. If professors, if you might see a student falling by the wayside, send them an email and, hey, I see that you might be struggling. Is there something I can help you with? I would be more than happy to help you. Be open to checking your email every day instead of maybe every Wednesday and every Saturday. You know, try to be open because if they need your help, they need it right then and there. And the same goes for you students. If you are struggling or if you're lost, then always call, email, or text your professor when you lack understanding. They don't know you need help if you don't express to them that you need help. Another important thing is, guys, empathize with each other. We're all going through things. Some of us as professors, we've had deaths in our families. We've had coworkers and friends pass because of this disease. And so have you guys. You have had your aunts, your uncles, your parents, your siblings. We have all had to deal with so much stuff, and all we need right now is just to have a little empathy and understanding for each other. Reach out for help when necessary. We're going to tell you where to get that. When you guys feel you're not being heard and a professor just will not write you back or will not answer you or will not listen to you, reach out to your advisor. And we will do our best to be able to reach out to the professor and say, hey, you know, someone's trying to get in touch with you. What's going on here? And then maybe we can help. And then above all else, guys, avoid procrastination, because procrastination in college will definitely hurt you. So Teresa's going to talk to you guys about some of the resources that we have and where you can get those. Maybe Teresa has left the building. I'm not sure if Teresa's here or not. But so we do have services available. And on this link, I know that she was going to click on the links and it was going to take you somewhere else. My fear is that it's never going to let me back in. So I'm not even going to click on it. But I do want you to know that Analisa Conde, she's the coordinator for the Student Success Center in Uvalde. Laura Gloria for the Success Center in Del Rio. Claudia Valdez is the coordinator for Eagle Pass. And Lali de la Cruz is the coordinator for Crystal City. So you guys can go to, I believe it's the Student Services page. And we have all types of tutoring. The Student Success Center offers virtual tutoring. All you have to do is set up a tutoring session with your with one of the tutors that's available that you see. We have those also at the Writing Center. For those of you that don't want to do it virtually and you want to do it mejor with a stranger, then Tutor Me in Canvas, you can do that. And then students who are looking to borrow a calculator can also do that as well. And so we'll definitely show you how to do that. But I know that we are running out of time. And so I wanted to ask, and I wanted to open up the floor for questions. Do you guys have any questions in regards to our presentation today?
If I may, Sonia, just from a parent perspective, not a parent, a faculty perspective,
Yes, ma'am.
I have noticed, this is purely anecdotal, but I have noticed that those students who have not carved out a little space in their home, whether it be on the kitchen table, in the living room, a desk in their room, I find that the students who are in class, but they're still in bed with the covers over them, okay, those are the students that I have found that are not doing as well as the other students who have carved out a place, again, whether it's outside on the picnic table, at your own kitchen table, in the living room. I find that those students are not faring as well.
Yes.
Just
No, I agree with you. I agree, definitely. And I think that's right up there with, I need to set a classroom setting, an environment. I need to remind myself, even though I'm not able to hang out with my friends, I'm in college. I'm a college student, and I'm going to be one of the only generations that can actually get a degree in my pajamas. But you don't have to be in your pajamas 24/7. You can actually put on some sweats, attend class, and then go right back to your PJs, whatever it is that you want to do. But yes, I agree, definitely. Any other insights, questions? I did get a message from Teresa. Her battery died. So that's how come Teresa left. She'll be back with us in just a moment. But do we have other questions?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. First of all, thank you for putting the seminar on. It's pretty enlightening to see how students are reacting as well as how the instructors are. I think it's a pretty unique time to be attending school and also probably teaching students. For me personally, it's kind of a weird situation to be face-to-face in a camera, and especially at home, because I feel in a traditional classroom setting, there's a lot less distractors. And here I have kids running around. You probably can't hear them now, but I guess at times I try to turn my screen off because I almost feel like, and it's just me maybe, that it might be distracting for an instructor to teach and see me picking up a baby and running around. I mean, I have a space carved away, but I think from some point it's just kind of different because I feel like maybe it's more respectful to limit the noise of stuff. But I could also understand how it'd be very difficult to talk to a bunch of black screens with names on them.
Definitely.
You might feel like you're talking into empty space. And I feel that that would be extremely challenging. So.
And you know what, Tony, if you, even if you had your camera on, but you had your microphone muted and you had your baby in your arms, I would be the happiest professor in the whole world. Honestly, it would. It's like, wow, look at everything that he's doing with his life, and he's here. He's still here and he's learning. That goes to show, the integrity that you have as a student. So trust me, it doesn't matter if you have 3 or 4 kids around you. Go ahead and mute your mic by all means, but we're glad you're there. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your input. Do any of you have any other questions, concerns, or maybe observations that you've experienced as a student that you wish professors would know? Okay, I'll take that as a no. How about professors? Do we have any professors here that maybe might have a message that they would like to impart?
I'll say something. It is weird, but like I have my camera off right now because this is my lunch. So I'm right now. And I do have my night class, which is very interesting. It's a full class of 30. Mm-hmm. But half of them come on camera, and that's, for me, it's odd because other ones I'll get 1 or 2, maybe 5 out of 30. But my night class, and there's some that have the babies with them, and we all know the baby's name, and we wave at them, and but you know me, I'm used to doing all these projects and stuff in class, and so it's just so awkward. And every once in a while I tell the class, I go, normally we would be doing this, but stupid COVID, and we laugh about it because that's all we can do right now. And it's just, we kind of voice, and I talk with them at the beginning of class while everybody gets in, and I ask, how was your weekend? What are you watching on Netflix? Just to kind of get that connection how we normally would before class. And so I try to keep that And some of them come on early, and I try to get on at least 10 minutes early because there's ones that want to talk. And that's fine because they need that interaction. I need that interaction because I'm not even in my own office. And I'm one that I had to ask for an office here in Uvalde because I needed to be away from home, because at home I had my garden, I have laundry to do, I have the dogs, I have different things. So I personally had to get away from home to work.
Yes.
So I understand that. And like I said, some people go to their cars, they go to outside, whatever, wherever it may be. But it is a struggle, and it is difficult, especially like I said, I'm doing group projects, and it's so odd. It is so odd because it's like I'm used to my projects and us making messes in my classroom, and
Yeah.
it's odd because now we have
it's hard enough to have to do a group project with people in person and try to get everybody to meet at a certain time and this and that, but to try to do it virtually, you're right, that's got to be difficult for everybody because of everybody's different working schedules and things they do. That must be really hard.
And sometimes I do, because normally we would work in class, and so I have them work on their stuff in class and they can share their screen, and I help them with their PowerPoints, and it's just so weird. And then someone raises their hand, so I have to go to the other breakout room, and it's weird because normally I could be in one corner and be yelling across the room, hey, don't do that, or you're doing it right, just kind of so weird. It's just weird is the only way to describe what we're going through.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, because as I had mentioned earlier, we have all got to understand that what we're going through right now never occurred in any of our lifetimes, and we're having to make concessions, and we're having to switch things up. And yeah, it's going to take empathy, it's going to take sympathy, it's going to take understanding, compassion, but more than anything, guys, fortitude. You guys keep on forging forward, keep on putting in the work, keep on doing the best you can. Now, I don't want you to feel bad if you do have to have your camera off. I definitely am not here to shame you, but I do want you to see from the instructor perspective that, hey, there's no way they can gauge your level of knowledge if they can't see you. So, you might try turning it on just for a minute or two and then turning it back off. Just let them know, hey, I'm here and I'm listening. And I think as professor, that's pretty much all we want to know is to make sure you're listening, you're taking notes, you're doing what you can.
Job well done. Great work. All the best. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Do we have any more questions?
I think it's nice to hear the instructors. I think it's helpful for the students to hear that the instructors, I think, just miss their faces. Like they just miss their students. That
I
interaction.
don't have a camera.
It's not just about about not it's weird, yes, but I think the thing that everybody is struggling with the most is not having that interaction. And these instructors just want their students, their interaction. They want their face to face, and they can't have that. And this is the closest thing we have to that.
Exactly. And personally, I am a social creature. I love it. Students walk in my office all day long without an appointment, and I really, really love it. And so part of me, like being here, being at home, I hate it. I can't stand it. And so Monday, I know that I had several appointments. I had about 9 appointments on Monday, but three of them told me, ma'am, can you call me through Teams? Can you call me through Teams? So I actually got to call, and I spoke with 3 students that day, and it was like a 20 or 30 minute, just like if they were in my office. And let me tell you something, my happiness level was up to here. At the end of the day, it filled my soul to be able to talk to students and see their faces and see them laughing and smiling. So yeah, we definitely need that communication, that face-to-face communication. Well, guys, we thank you so much for being with us. It lasted a little longer than I thought we were going to. Normally I would say in the chat box to go ahead and put your name, the name of your class, maybe the name of your professor. But I know that Ryan did mention that you can put your name and your student ID, and then he would in turn send you a an email saying that yes, you attended this particular seminar. And then I believe that email that you get from him, you could always show that as proof to your professor. So you can, you know, or Ryan, is that how you're wanting to do it?
Yes, ma'am, that works. I have most of y'all. There's a couple of y'all who, so most of you don't have to worry. There are a couple of y'all whom I have kind of been messaging on Teams over the course of the webinar. If y'all could, please tell me what your ID numbers are, and I'll be able to go ahead and get you guys sorted out. But as for the rest, well done. Thank you, both of you, Ms. Crow and Alvarez, and thank you. I don't know, people have been kind of dropping off, so I don't know who all is still here, but thank you all for attending.
Thank you so much for coming, guys. We appreciate you today.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Contact us if y'all have any questions. I think that you put our contact information at the end, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank
Thank you. Have a great day.
you. You too.
Thank you.